Fuck am I passionate about?
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Let's talk about finding the things that you're passionate about. Finding, a career that you think you're going to be happy with for a while and one that's actually going to interest you. So a lot of times I come across people saying that I can't figure out what I want to do with my life. And when I dropped out of college, I noticed myself saying it all the time. And I think what we actually mean when we say I can't figure out what I want to do with my life is I can't figure out what career I want to pick. It's like I can't figure out what career I want to go into. I can't figure out what job I want to get. I can't figure out what it is that I want to do with my life that's going to make me happy. And how can we blame anyone for feeling this way? I mean, it is a hell of a task trying to come up with a career or a job that you think you're going to be happy with for the next 20 to 40 years. See, but that's just the thing. When you look at it that way in such super long term and such a permanent decision, that's when I think the biggest problem of all happens. And that's what I want to talk about right now. When we put this much emphasis and weight on our decisions and we make them seem like these huge choices that are just overwhelmingly important, it leads to analysis paralysis. And that's literally just you putting so much emphasis and overanalyzing an idea or a concept or trying to discover your passion so much so that you end up not making a choice because it's too scary. Now, part of the problem is the fact that we live in a society where money is pretty much a necessity. So out of high school or out of college, you have to make a choice on what job you want to go into. And if you can't figure out that perfect job, you still need money. So you settle. You settle for a job that is boring or average or mediocre that you're not super happy with so that you're able to pay your bills. See, the issue then becomes that while we are busy in our routines and our habits and doing the same things over and over and over again, we kind of have this hope in the back of our mind that something is eventually going to change, that someday we're going to figure it out and we're going to discover the career of our dreams. So we treat it as if one day the answers are just going to wind up on our doorstep.
You didn't order anything, did you? What is this? Hey, my passions are finally here. I've been waiting forever to figure out what I love. I cannot believe this day has finally come. I'm so pumped. The best way to open this. Wait. Mother.
No, I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And so this is where I want to bring up point number one. And that is that our passions are not simply going to fall into our lap. A much more reliable way of figuring out your passions, discovering your life's purpose, realizing what career you're going to be super interested in, is simply by trying more things. It is by doing something that you've never done before and then realizing that you're a fan of it. Right? And so the problem people run into is that they're afraid to try new careers. They're afraid to venture off and do something else. It's because it's unpredictable. It's scary as shit. When we frame it as I'm trying to make a career change, it becomes scary. It becomes overwhelming. We don't want to change jobs. We don't want to change careers. We don't want to face the fact that we're going to try out a new job, and then when it falls through and when we fail and when it doesn't work out, we have to listen to the criticism and the judgment of everybody else around us. That stuff is scary. It's overwhelming, and you don't know what's going to happen. And that causes people to never make the leap and do it. And so it turns out that we don't know ourselves as well as we think we do. And by asking the question, what am I passionate about? That's a much more difficult question to answer than you could ever realize, right? And so until you start to try new stuff, how in the hell are you ever going to realize what things you're passionate about if they're not in your awareness, if you don't know about them? Take this for example. I could be really passionate about building shit out of wood, but if I never try it and I never look into it, I'll never know if it's something that really piques my interest and something that I could be very passionate about. And I get it. As a husband and a father, someone saying, well, you just need to try a different career and you just need to move on to the next best thing and figure out what you're interested in. I mean, that is hard. That is scary, scary stuff. And I wouldn't just recommend doing that when you have life responsibilities and you have bills that you have to pay and you have a mortgage and a car payment and whatever else. So let me challenge you to think about it this way. If you are unhappy in your career or job choice that you've chosen, what sort of things could you try out and explore just as a hobby, just in your free time, that if you seem to like it enough, it could maybe turn into a job opportunity in the future? Let me just give you a really quick example. Let's say someone's never messed around with computers, PCs, and tech before, but they have always had a slight interest in it. They've never just taken that leap to actually look into it. In their free time, they start watching YouTube videos. They maybe pick up a book or two. They decide that they're going to get themselves a computer. It doesn't have to be crazy expensive. And they start playing around with the parts that are inside of it. They start looking up some different information about how the parts go into the computer, how they come out, how they can upgrade certain things. And next thing you know, they find out that this stuff is really interesting to them. And so this person who's looking into this decides, oh, you know what? I'm not doing this as a career choice. I'm not choosing to do this because I feel like I have to or because it's going to be life-changing. I'm just doing it because it's kind of fun. Next thing you know, that person gets so good with technology and building computers that they're able to apply to some of the PC repair shops around town. Maybe there's 2 or 3 shops hiring. You go in and you interview and you get one of the jobs. It might pay a little bit less money than what you're currently making, but you're actually able to enjoy your career and you're able to live a life where you're excited to get up in the morning and go to work because it's more fun. And then maybe 2, 3, 4 years after working at that PC repair shop, you decide, you know what? I know enough about this stuff now. I'm going to open up my own shop. I'm going to start doing what the guy who I'm employed by is doing. There you have it. An interest turned into a career opportunity turned into a new job. It's not that far-fetched to do something that you like or even do something that you love. It's just something that you're going to have to engage in, and you're going to have to sort of build the process of trying to learn a new thing and try things out that you could be passionate about in the first place. And this leads me to point number 2. The next point that I'd like to make is the fact that most passions start off very small, as slight interests. See, I feel like people have this idea where, like, when you finally discover your passions in life, that all of a sudden this bolt of intuition strikes and you just immediately know, and you're just filled with all this passion and charisma and enthusiasm, and you're just like, holy shit, that's it. But in actuality, the things that we one day become very passionate about, the things that one day excite us, they just start off as something that seems kind of interesting that we decide to try. You know, one day you start looking into photography. That sounds kind of fun. That's something I could be interested in. You start taking a couple pictures, you throw them onto your computer, you edit them a little bit, and you say, wow, those turned out really good. This actually has been enjoyable and fun. I'm going to continue doing it. You start buying better gear, and you start taking more pictures, and then one day you move into videography, and next thing you know, photography and videography become something that you're very passionate about. You know, and as you start to learn the fine details and all the subtle nuances in a craft, that is what bakes passion and enthusiasm into something that you're interested in. And the very last point that I want to bring to your attention is something that I feel a lot of people have all wrong. I feel like most people are on the lookout for that job or that career that they love every single part of, right? And then when they come across, let's say, something that they feel like they're passionate about, they realize, oh, I don't really like this part of it. Well, then that must not be my passion. That must not be my life purpose. And that's just not the case. That's not true. You see, the real truth is that you can be extremely passionate about a subject or a career or a job or whatever it is, and you cannot like certain portions of it. You know, it's like most things have an upside and a downside. You know, it's not always going to be upside. Let's take, for example, a career or a job opportunity that most people would consider to be a dream job. Being a YouTuber. I'm talking about making videos online and then getting paid for it. You know, I'm pretty passionate when it comes to actually recording the video. Like sitting here talking to the camera, sitting here testing out, let's say I buy myself a new camera, I got a new microphone, and I'm testing out how all my gear works together. I'm passionate about that part, right? And I'm really pumped to see the end product once I'm finished editing, right? It's the creative side to me that is fun and enjoyable and the part that I have passion for. But I'll tell you what, When it comes to being a YouTuber as a career or a job or as a passion or a hobby, there is plenty of parts that a lot of people don't care for. I'm not passionate about throwing all of my footage into an editing software and cutting out little bits and pieces. I'm not passionate about changing audio levels and messing with the audio gain and trying to get the right decibels set. I'm not passionate about color correcting or color grading my footage to make sure that the picture on screen looks exactly the way that I want the picture to look, right? I'm not like crazy passionate about that side of things. And that's okay. You are allowed to not like a portion of your job, just so long as it's not the overwhelming portion of the job that you dislike. That is going to cause unhappiness on a regular basis. You can like the majority of your job, and that's totally fine. So let's say, for example, you take my advice and you decide to try out all these things. There's nothing wrong with jumping from idea to idea and realizing that you don't like it, because you're never going to make it to the point of discovering the idea that you do like until you get to a point where you realize some things that you don't like. Do not be afraid to push yourselves out of your comfort zone, to explore new areas and to try new things. There is an unbelievable amount of things out there for you to be passionate about. You just don't know about it yet. I want to leave you guys with a quote to think about. It's by Jesse Potter, and it's that if you always do what you've always done, you are always going to get what you've always gotten. All right, everyone, that is going to do it for today's video. I appreciate you for watching. I hope that I made you think about these things in a new way. If I did, go ahead and give me that thumbs up button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.